Growing up in the 80s was a lot different than it is in the 2000s because, like, I can walk around like this anywhere and nobody will harass me, but in the 80s they beat you up and spit on you and called you names and just weren't accepting, especially in school. Now there's like laws for that, anti-bully laws. But nobody really messed with me. I had tons of friends that would surround me and kick anybody's ass that tried to fuck with me. So I was protected. And I wasn't as polished in the 80s as I am today, but I was a lot weirder. The fashions of the 80s was just over the top. Like, the weirder the better. Everybody shaved their eyebrows off. As did I. I did mine in homage to David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust. And I haven't grown them back in 25 years. We used to paint them on. Just crazy ways to paint them on. Musicians, Susie and the Banshees was a huge inspiration on the way I look and dress. Pete Burns from Dead or Alive is another one. I just like anything that's androgynous and interesting, bizarre, shocking. I like Poison in a Pretty Pill. I like to borrow from other people that are way more fabulous than myself. But nobody knows any better because I live in San Diego and everybody's so vapid and clueless and has no idea about culture, art, fashion, music, anything, especially in the gay community. There we go. I'm usually the one that's, educating people on all those things. But I don't mind doing it. I guess it's my job. Somebody educated me, and so I'm here to educate other people. And hopefully they let it sink in and change their boring, horrible, misled youth. In the 80s, I was a total disaster. I don't know how my parents dealt with me in the 80s when I was 16 years old and running around, not going to school, coming home a month later. They had no idea where I was before cameras and cell phones and, all that stuff where they can track you. But I give them props because, it took a long time for us to finally accept each other, and now they love me and are very proud of me and love what I do and love how I look and are very, very proud of me. My mom says it all the time. And they came from a tiny island, and then, when we moved here 4 years later, they think I'm a woman, and they didn't know how to react to that, and I understand where they're coming from now that I'm older, now that I'm 41, but I respect them a lot too, and I'm very grateful to have accepting family members, because not everybody can look like me and be accepted by your entire family. So I feel good in 2013, and I'm happy to be me. Partying when I was a teenager. I think it's so funny because it was one non-stop party for 10 years. We would go dancing. Usually we start getting ready around 10 o'clock at night and get all did up, crimp our hair, put on tons of makeup, wear the craziest outfits. Then we'd go to this club called Stratus, and it was an underage club in Spring Valley in the 80s. That was a lot of fun, and it was just a bunch of punks and freaks and jocks and boppy girls, just everybody, and everybody got along. And then when that would close at 2 in the morning, and then we'd head off to Studio 9 because they were open until about 5 or 6, usually whenever people decided to leave. And, which was across town, actually right up the street from where I live. And we'd get wasted and go there and party with the older weirdos. Which are still, all my friends in the 80s are still my best friends. I still talk to every single one of them. Just the ones that are alive. But partying in the 80s, that's what we did. And then we'd do it again the next day for a long, long time. I liked going to clubs in the 80s because it wasn't like top 40 either. Not the ones I would go to. They would play music from Europe and, you know, music that you wouldn't really consider dance music today, but it was perfect back at, you know, in the 80s when I was a teenager. They would play Divine, who I'm obsessed with, obviously. I was raised by John Waters. That's how I usually tell people when they ask me about myself. Because I have been stomping around the city for over 20 years, making it okay for other people to be who they want, and I got beat up for it, and now you don't have to, hopefully. I'm embarrassed all of a sudden.
What?